Hi everyone, and in this video, as I didn't record anything live yesterday, I did record something that I did draw and render. So I wasn't able to record anything live because I had to go see a doctor and there was just so many things happening yesterday. So here is me posting yesterday's day 23 of my rendering challenge, and here I had to start with the drawing first. So the first thing that I did was create the shapes as I built the character. And next I have two colors only here, a limited palette to actually render this guy. So that was a challenge. Previously, yet in the previous day, I did a little kind of demon girl that was all in red, and this one was purple and yellow. So first he was just a biker in my mind, and because I have purple and yellow, I didn't want to have him look like he had a disease or something with the yellow skin. I don't know, maybe he could become a Simpson. But I decided that I'm gonna make him a biker who is an elf. They have purple skin. I really like drows from Dungeons and Dragons, and yeah, so maybe he's a drow. I hope I pronounced that correctly. That's the idea behind this. So the first thing that I do is actually fix the shapes. That is, I create the line work on top of my construction lines. So I am actually now drawing out this character with the same purple color, just so that I have it on my shadows as well when I leave the line work in some places where it is necessary. And then I just line the character out. Also, in this video, I am using Isabella Agosti's brushes that you can find on her Patreon for free if you're signed up. I used them yesterday also in the video about the little demon. I am also enjoying drawing using her technique. She uses very few brushes, but it looks amazing. So this video is actually done in that technique, partially because I only had a couple of colors. So literally couple, 1 and 2. The topic of this drawing was actually for a challenge that I'm doing with Natela Art, and it was to draw a bearded someone who loves sweets, so who has a sweet tooth. And yes, the first thing that came into my mind was a biker, and I thought that everyone else would also draw bikers, but mine was the only one in the end. So yeah, I guess I have a thing for large bearded men who kind of look brutal and bikery. As the drawing and the render were done in the same day, I basically spent 2.5 hours on it. It's not the best render quality that I could have done, but I am really happy with the result and that I achieved it in just this short time. Yeah, I kind of guess in this short amount of time, for my level of skill, this is good enough. Then I also forgot to press record at a certain point, so I started to fill in the shapes, like outlining the shapes and filling them in without you guys. So because I decided to split the video in two, and I was drawing at a cafe near the doctor's office, so yeah, my mind wasn't working 100%. Sorry, there are some parts of the video that when I started to outline the shape, like a very little part that is missing. Then what I did, I selected basically the same brush, made it just a bit larger, and with the same purple tone, I started to outline my character, and then I separated like the outline of each object on its own so that I can more easily fill them in and color them in afterwards in clipping mask mode with other layers. Okay, so every part of the drawing has its own kind of shape underneath that all the other layers are clipping masked too. And the most important thing here is to actually do the outlines of each shape, as I said, of each object on its own layer, so that when you color it, it doesn't fall in, like the color doesn't color over the top of other objects, and it actually saves time. Like the chair and the table and the helmet, they all have their own layers, the same way as the character does. After I'm done with filling in the shapes, I create a clipping mask layer above each one of the items, and then I can already start rendering. And for the character, the first thing I did is I started creating the layers of his clothes, so each clothing item was created in a separate layer and in a clipping mask mode, so that I could color it in without being afraid to go into the other areas of my character, as this was very time limited. The main focus here was to create the dark and light contrast so that we can understand that this guy is actually wearing clothes and that he is a character, and that nothing blends in together. Even though bikers tend to usually wear darker black clothes, that was a challenge. That was my thing here. The three body problem that I had was that I had to use one hue only and separate it tonally. I couldn't use any different hues because I wanted him to be all purple and create that yellow accent on the sweet and on the little cup. In the area that I didn't remove when I was coloring in the silhouette, the area between his hand and his shoulder, I didn't use a lasso tool to remove that area quickly. I just wanted it to have the same texture, so what I did is choose an eraser with the same brush that I used to draw it with, and then just erase it manually. And yeah, as I said, those are Isabel Lagosti's brushes. The same brush that I drew with, I erased with. I tried to change the tone in the dark yellows with his pants, but they just looked awful. It's my enemy color. I think that one, I really don't like it. I call it the baby's unexpected diaper. That's the name for that color. I really don't like this color, this green. Yeah, I changed it back to purples and decided to leave only the elven skull on the vest in the yellow tones. And as you can see, I am trying different hues, like different colors here, the yellows and the purple. In the same way, I'm trying to add yellows into the character, and eventually I understood that, yeah, only the skull is going to be yellowish, not even bright yellow. It just didn't work, so I went with the purples. For the cake, I was trying to make the cake purple and yellow, but in the end, eventually I ended up with a cake that ended up being yellow altogether because it just made more sense, and of course it had blueberries. The only pro of this yellow color, though, is that I don't particularly like it. It's cool yellow, like lemon, but it's when it goes into the blacks, it creates this very beautiful green. And in this green, it's kind of warm green, and I could actually create these little leaves from the blueberries, and that color I do like. So now I know this is actually quite a useful exercise to do. Now I know that if I go into the dark yellows, I can get this color, and it's very, very pretty. After I'm done with putting down the base colors, I start adding a bit of redness, in this case purpleness, into his eyes, ears, his elbows that are exposed, and also the shadows around the face a bit, and in the elbow area where the arm kind of bends, I also added some of the purples just to separate the forearm from the arm, like the top part of the arm, with a tone instead of a line. And then I also added some occlusion shadows, and later on I will add also some form shadows just to keep it a bit more interesting. And another cool thing that I thought would be great, instead of adding any kind of writing on his t-shirt just randomly, because we already have enough Frank all around, I think by now you must have understood that his name is Frank. So I decided to put my signature on his t-shirt, and I think it looks kind of cool. It looks this kind of handwritten kind of thing. I added a layer in Multiply in a light purple tone to actually give shadows to things. Here I created those form and cast shadows, and I used the lasso tool to actually shift a bit the lightness and darkness and the saturation of each element that I colored. In the end, I wanted to add final touches, and I fixed the colors of the helmet because I think it just didn't work that great. And then, come on, if he's a biker and he's this big bushy bearded dude, he needs to have those hairs on his forearms and his fingers. So I kind of took inspiration in my own man here. So yeah, this is it. This is the whole process. It took me 2.5 hours, and it was a challenge because it was only 2 hues, which I could not stray from. And you learn things by using a limited palette. It was just no skin colors, no nothing. No, just these. That was the limitation. So yeah, this is how it went. I really hope that you found this video interesting, and I hope that if you did, then please like, share, and subscribe, because that really helps the channel and helps me create more content. Because recently, as I'm changing the theme of the channel from pastels to illustration, I have hundreds of unsubscribers, and I would appreciate any new ones. So thank you guys for everyone who subscribes for free for my Patreon as well, and who becomes a patron there. Also, speaking about Patreon, you can always see all the stuff that I do online, and it's gonna be free every month. But as the month ends, I'm going to put it like in this treasure box, which you can have access by subscribing on Patreon, like paid access. So this way you don't have to spend anything if you watch it in that same month. So yeah, making it as accessible as possible. I think this is it. Enough of chatting here. So I'm going to say goodbye to you and a thank you. And yeah, subscribe, share, and like. Thank you guys. Bye. See you soon.